All right, everyone. Welcome to this daily Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for Thursday, July 5th, 2018. All right, so today the moon is still in Pisces, so great time to get into that receptive side of ourselves, developing our intuition, our creative imagination, and anything else that does require bringing in some peace into our life. So with this, we do have Chiron retrograde here today, Mercury opposite up to Mars, and the Sun trining Jupiter, so quite a bit astrologically. I think with Chiron, maybe some reevaluation to our healing. Anything that we have been healing, now maybe going back and reworking for the next 6 months. Mercury opposite Mars, maybe some tension with communication today that we can find some balance with collectively. And the Sun is trining up to Jupiter, so maybe a bit of inspiration, hopefulness, open-mindedness, coming into the picture today. All right, so let's look at all of this here in more detail when we return. All right, so here's the sky for this Thursday. Again, we are using the actual signs of the constellations called True Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, check out the link down below because you will notice that the signs are different from mainstream astrology. All right, so Pisces, a very large constellation here going into the weekend. Essentially, Pisces is about finding that spiritual peace in our life. We may go about this in different ways. But some of us may be creative, really good time for creative imagination, letting our mind wander a bit perhaps. Also spirituality, spiritual development, meditation, prayer, these types of things. Essentially anything that does help us get into that present moment, helps us surrender what's outside of our control, live presently, and through that, finding that peace that does arise with that. So we could notice some themes with this, but just generally a great time to be cultivating this type of energy with Pisces. All right, so let's take a look at some of the aspects we have today because we do have quite a bit sort of all taking place this part of the week. So let's first look at this Chiron. So Chiron is going retrograde. This happens once a year, of course. It is for about 6 months. So now there's slowing down and reevaluating anything that you may have been doing regarding healing. Now, of course, this can be, general spiritual healing, but also physical healing, emotional healing, psychological perhaps, anything like that. Great time to be reworking. And just general, the things that do invoke our wounds or inhibitions. We do have this sort of break with this now, this sort of pause with it for the next 6 months to allow us to just kind of reevaluate this type of energy in our life. And of course, with Chiron in Pisces, especially with the moon activating it today, really good for, again, getting in touch with that intuition, that inner, what our spiritual body is telling us, what our unconscious mind is telling us, right? This receptive energy, which is likely the way in which we are healing at this time collectively. All right, so along with this, we do have Mercury opposite up to Mars. So there is maybe a bit of a tension in the air collectively when it has to do with communication. Now, I don't think it's necessarily going to be a tense day or anything like that. We have a counterbalance with a trine up to Jupiter. But with this type of energy, with maybe the communication, just bringing in a bit of awareness to if we're feeling any of this wanting to assert our needs, communicate our needs if it's very strong, or if it's defensive, right? Just being aware of that and finding that balance. If there is a lot of that Mars energy, that drive, that wanting, those strong desires, bringing in a bit of the Mercury can help balance it out. And this is being a bit open-minded. In communication, for example, being willing to learn, listening, exchanging, sharing, a two-way sort of process with Mercury, this type of stuff. And vice versa, if you do feel that it's a day that you may need to will yourself to be assertive with some things or set boundaries or something like that, maybe bring in some of that Mars energy, again, with that balance. So good day for this collectively, finding balance between what we want, our needs, and that communication. And this could also be what we're thinking about as well, if it's more personal like that. But all in all, just being aware, having non-attachment, and then doing whatever is balanced with that. So along with this, though, very different energy, the Sun trining Jupiter does give us a bit of this maybe open-mindedness, inspiration, this sort of spirit for life. So great day to expand our horizons. This could be obviously with our perspective, which is ultimately what Jupiter helps us do. Helps us see a greater perspective on things, helps us change our perspective, and be open-minded. And because of that open-mindedness, we can perhaps see some opportunities today. We can use a bit of that spirit and do things, use a bit of that momentum. That open-mindedness can help guide us in terms of, taking action or cultivating anything we're focused on. All right, really good energy here for this. And just getting in touch with that kind of adventurousness, whether it's of the mind or quite literally, that can bring in a bit of opportunity, or just, again, seeing things in a bit of an inspired perspective, which can lead to further development with things we're maybe hopeful or inspired about. All right, so that's the most important things, those three things, and the backdrop, of course, being Pisces, the theme being getting in touch with that receptive, intuitive side of ourself. There's a slight square up to Saturn, nothing major here with this. Just seeing if there is anything today we can be patient with would be a good way of working with that. I would say that's the case anyways, with Mercury opposite up to Mars. And the Sun is trining up to that Mercury, who is opposing up to that Mars. So do get a little bit of support, I think, as the day unfolds, the later part of the day, when it comes to that communicative and assertive energy, or maybe it's just starting to flow a little bit and it easing off as we come off of that exact opposition, those exact aspects earlier in the day. All right, so that's the day in a nutshell. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you again for all of your support with the channel, and I will see you all tomorrow for the weekend forecast. Take care.